Wise. Look, man, I'm gonna jump straight into this video. It's been on my mind heavy lately. I had a dream, and it was the most vivid dream of my life. I've actually had a few of them, but there was two that stuck with me and that stick with me every single day. And no matter how hard I try to forget them, no matter how hard I try to ignore the message in them, I just can't. It felt too real to ignore. And my whole life, I've spent my life ignoring God because there wasn't proof, there wasn't none of that. To me, it just seemed like one big fairy tale, something that was just spun up by people who were delusional. Until I had a dream that I went to hell. And I feel like it was the most microscopic version of hell. It wasn't even a taste. It was so small, but it scared me to my very core. And it still scares me to the day. You know, I feel like this dream really put the fear of God into me. And I had another dream where I went to heaven. And that's where it showed me how much I needed God in my life. And both of those two together really strengthened my faith. And it strengthened, honestly, who I'm trying to be today. Now, the dream where I went to hell happened about 2 years ago. I was doing wrong at the time, to put it lightly. And at the time, I was smoking a lot. I was drinking a lot. It was just an everyday thing. I did not care about nothing. I was just moving with my impulsive decisions and my desires. I didn't care. Couldn't tell me nothing. And I had this dream. And in this dream, I remember it was almost like transporting. It was weird because it felt too real. Like, you know, normally in a dream, like, things be out of whack or whatever, but this was like I had woken up and this was just my environment now, like I had died or something. And in this dream, I remember I was with 4 people, and I don't remember who they were, but in the dream I knew who they were. It's like they were my friends. And in the middle of this room, it was this white man who was built like Thanos, who I can't even describe how terrifying he was, and I don't know why he was so scary, but I just remember being so scared of him, and everybody was. And there was 2 people standing next to him who were in human-like shape, but with like the most messed up faces you could possibly imagine. Like, I can't even describe it. It was like a Halloween mask times 1,000. It was weird, but you could tell their emotions and all that. It's like they didn't want to be there either, but they had to. And there was a TV, and he had brought this TV out all of a sudden. It was like one of those old school TVs that they used to bring into classrooms back in the day. And he flipped it on, and it was another member of our group. And there was another, like, I'm just gonna call them demons because that's what they seemed like they were, and that's the message that I got from it. This man was on his knees with his hands tied behind his back. And this demon had pulled out this, like, I remember it being dull. It was like a dull knife, a dull machete. I remember he just started chopping his head off, just hitting him. And we're watching this, like, terrified and shocked. And, you know, he's hitting him multiple times. And I remember finally his head came off. It rolled, it bounced and rolled. And then the camera was on his face. And he was blinking, screaming. He didn't die. He couldn't die, but he felt everything. And then suddenly the TV shuts off. And this, I'm just going to call him this Thanos figure for now. He says to everybody, I'm going to do this to each and every single one of you. And if you disobey me, you're going to get it worse. And then boom. The dream goes to this, like, we just transported into this plaza parking lot. And it was me and my group, and we understood the message, and now we were trying to get out of this. We were debating amongst ourselves on how we were going to escape, how we were going to defeat this, how we were going to get away. And while we were doing it, and it was like an empty plaza, but there was like a lot of cars, but there was nobody there. Except in this one car that was not too far away from us. You know, we could see who was in it, and it was those 2 demons with the messed up masks. And they all looked the same, but they were just staring at us. They weren't doing nothing. They were just looking at us. And through fear, When we saw them, I guess like fight or flight or whatever, we ran at the car. We start banging on the windows. We start kicking it. We're telling them to leave, get out of here. And they pull off. So we're like, you know what? We might actually have a chance here. We might actually escape. And then all of a sudden, I turn around and I see this Thanos looking figure walking up to me like Thanos, just pissed off in his face. Like, I don't know what made him so scary, but he was just so terrifying in this dream. And he's walking towards us, so we all just start running away. And in like a weird way, it's like the further that we went forward, the more that we kind of like started going in like a circle and like a spiral. It's like there was like an invisible wall just kind of pushing us in one way, like we were running in a circle. And every time I looked behind, this man wasn't running. He was just walking, but he was walking like he was just going to tear you up. So I remember splitting up with the group, and in my head, I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's not going to go for me. Maybe he's going to go for one of them, because there was one person in my group that was bigger than the rest. So I'm like, you know what? He's probably going to go for him first. And when I look back, no. He was going for me. He wanted me. So I really started running. I'm looking behind. He's getting closer and closer and closer. And it's like no matter how far I'm running, it's like I can't get away because it's like I'm running in a circle. And it's like something is pulling me back and my body is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And I look behind me and he's maybe like where the steering wheel in front of me is, just right there. And I get scared. I look and then boom, the dream takes off. And now we're in this, it was like an apartment building and it was all connected. And all the rooms were like connected and it was just horrible in there. I remember there was like a horrible smell. There was like flames shooting out the door, but it's like it wasn't really flames, but you knew there was flames in there. And everybody in the group had a different room that they were assigned to. Some people were assigned based off of what they did or what they do in life, if I remember it correctly. And you could just hear screaming, you could hear agony, you could hear just, it was like the worst place you could possibly be at. This was it. And this man grabs me, this big Thanos guy grabs me. And at the time, I was smoking a lot and I was doing, drinking, and I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking anything I could essentially get my hands on. And, it was just real bad. And then in this, like, it was like a sign that said, this room is for the smokers only. And I automatically knew it was my door, because I knew at the time I had a problem with smoking and what I was doing. So he opens this room and it's just a staircase. It's like this rusty staircase, but it's a long staircase that goes all the way to the top of this apartment or apartment building. And he tells me that there's a door on top, and if I can reach the door in time, I can get out. I can get out of this little hellhole that I'm in right now. But on one condition. The second he says stop, I have to stop. If I don't stop, he says, I'm going to make sure you get the worst punishment out of everybody. So I'm like, okay. And then I don't know if he said go or whatever it was. So I take off all this up these steps, and I'm running. And I'm scared. And at some point while I was running, he yelled stop, and I was so scared, and I could see the door. I remember I could see the door when he said that, and I'm like, no way. There's no way I'm gonna stop right now when I could see this door. This is my way out, away from this terrifying man, away from this terrifying place. So I ain't stopped. Kept running. And I stopped for a split second just to look to see where he was. And when I looked, he was still standing. But the second he saw me look, he just takes off at like a super speed. And he's going up these spiral of steps like this, like just at a supersonic speed. So I'm like, oh man. So I take off. I'm running up these steps. And I get so close to this door. It was literally like within an arm's reach. And I remember diving for this door. But I got grabbed back and I got shot back in like a super fast form. I'm just seeing this door, and I'm going further and further and further away from this door. And again, I transport or whatever. Now I'm on this hospital table in this dirty room, and this Thanos looking dude is right next to me, and he's saying, "You didn't stop when I told you to stop. Now you're gonna get your punishment, and it's gonna be worse than everybody else's." So I'm immediately terrified. And I remember I wasn't tied down or nothing, but I could not move my body at all. I mean, just to move my finger took all the power I've ever had. Like, just to move a single finger, I couldn't move at all. I was just so stuck. And beside me was one of these demons, and he pulls out this long knife, machete, like the same type of machete that this dude was cutting this guy's head off at the beginning of the dream. And you could tell he doesn't want to do it, but he's gonna do it. He picks up this knife, this big ass knife, and he just sticks it in my chest. And I wake up. I woke up, and I was so sweaty. My clothes was sticking to me. My bed was soaked. I was breathing heavy. I mean, it was, and I remember it being exactly 3 o'clock, which kind of threw me off too. Like, it was just weird how it happened. So I tried to calm myself down. I still didn't necessarily know what reality was. This dream was so vivid, I didn't really know what was real and what wasn't real. And that's what kind of scared me the most. So I was going on my phone, looking at social media, just to affirm myself this was a dream. I'm okay. Everything is cool. And once I cooled down a little bit, I decided I was going to go back to sleep. I'm like, okay, everything is fine. Just going to go back to sleep. I lay down. And at some point, I fall asleep, and I wake up exactly where that dream left off. Exactly. Where this knife is in my chest. And they're saying all type of stuff to me, you know, horrible stuff. And this guy is just dragging this knife down my body, cutting me wide open. I feel everything, but I know that I can't die. And that's what stuck with me the most. I knew I couldn't die, and I knew this was just going to continue. So I don't know what it was, but that second dream didn't last long. I woke up again, even sweatier, even more scared. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. It was like maybe 4 o'clock at the time. I didn't sleep at all. And for those next few days, I couldn't sleep because I was scared I was just going to respawn into this horrible place. Now, that dream really put the fear of hell, the fear of what can possibly happen to me once I die, just instilled into my body, into my soul. I couldn't forget it. You know, and you know, I still didn't necessarily stop what I was doing, but I always had it at the back of my mind, like, you know what, maybe this stuff ain't worth it. You know, like, this is something really bad that might happen to me, and I gotta stop at some point. And then fast forward about 2 years later, this wasn't too long ago. I remember this dream very, very well. And it was very similar. Now, my dreams in general are very chaotic. It's always something crazy going on. I'm always like running from something just bad going on. And this is just a normal thing for me. And in this dream, it kind of started off the same way. Like, I remember just being in this place with this group of people, and it was just like so vivid. It was like I was already there. Now, the difference is in this dream, I knew I was dreaming. I knew that this wasn't real. And there were like these trolleys that we were going to, because I guess we were going to some place as a group. And we were all really excited about it. And the people that were like at this trolley waiting for us were those same exact people that I saw, those demons that I saw with the messed up faces. The exact same ones were at this trolley, but nobody thought of anything about it. You know, even me, like, I saw these people, but I wasn't thinking anything, because I knew at the time it was a dream, so I was like, whatever. So we step onto this trolley thinking that we're going somewhere nice, thinking we're about to have some fun or whatever. Everything is cool. They're bringing us drinks or whatever. And one of these demons gets up and he tells us that we're going to hell. Like, we're going to hell. Y'all got on the wrong trolley today. You guys are going to hell. I immediately got scared. Everybody got scared. We were like, no, we don't want to go to hell. And then during that panic, at some point, it turned into a peace almost. Like everybody done forgot what was going on, and we were just traveling, and people started having a good time again. People were talking, drinking, and even myself, I remember having a beer in my hand, talking to people, having a good time. And these like demons or whatever, they kind of just disappeared. But when you wanted to see them, you would see them. And at some point, it started clicking for me, like, wait a minute, what am I having fun for? I'm literally on a train or trolley to hell. Like, I have to get off of this ride. What am I doing? I'm having fun. Like, this ain't fun. And you know, we're sitting, and there wasn't really nothing I could do. I mean, we were moving, and I was just kind of pacing, and we get to this like large warehouse just filled with these trolleys, filled with people. And we get to, it was like all mechanical, very factory like. And we get to this little stopping point, and in front of us is like a platform, but it's below us. And these people are in this big pile, and they're like on top of each other, and there's this conveyor belt just dropping them, and they're like in a starfish, like they're stuck in like a starfish like position. And as soon as they hit, it was like the pile of other people, they would roll off, and then they would like reanimate into people. Like they knew, like, you know, they would like reactivate. And you could tell that they all were getting, they were one, very confused, and then that confusion started slowly turning into terror, because it's like they knew that this was something very wrong, very bad. And below us, below this little platform, it was just darkness, and it just went down. So it was like a platform, and then, you know, around us it was like a whole, just like how you would picture like a train yard, or like something like that, where just it was like the main headquarters or whatever. And in front of us it was just this big door. And while I'm looking at these people like kind of walking around in confusion and fear, there's this it was like a tentacle, or like a almost like a mechanical hand or claw, and this claw would come up from the darkness and just pick certain people out of this crowd out and just drag them down into the darkness, and they would be screaming, all this type of stuff. They knew what was going on. And while I'm looking, there was one guy that I was looking at in particular, and this claw grabs him, and it held him in front of the trolley for a second. And I remember him saying specifically, "I'm sorry for my Satanism." But then he gets pulled down, and, you know, it was like no hope. Like there was no forgiveness, no nothing. People are just getting pulled down. Like this is just the system. This is just what's made to happen. So I started getting scared. Now people on this trolley is also seeing this, but everybody's having a good time. We're drinking alcohol. People are smoking. And it was weird how like these people just didn't really understand what was going on. And even myself, I had to keep snapping myself out of this like good time that I was having, because it was like, man, the reality is like these people is going to hell. We're going to hell. We need to do something about this. But you know, we were just kind of just stuck in that mindset. And then all of a sudden we hear like on this loud announcement, last drink before we go to hell. Everybody starts cheering, yay. We start drinking. It's like the last hurrah type thing. And it happened pretty quick. I remember I got real scared, and I saw in one of the seats, it was a man, and it was a woman and a little baby. Now at the time, my baby was just born, like maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. She was like 2 months old. And I immediately knew it was me, and it was my wife at the time, and it was our baby sitting in this seat. And I could see it from like a third person point of view. So I like walked towards them, and now all of a sudden I kind of like snapped back into the body of the man that I was looking at. So it became like first person. And the doors slowly start opening in front of us. It was like these huge doors, and they slowly start opening. People is cheering. Everybody is cheering that we're about to go to hell. it I remember holding the baby, and I remember holding my wife, and we're just saying I love you. We're just saying I love you, I love you, I love you, and we're just getting ready for what's about to come. In my head at that very moment, I remember thinking, where's God? Specifically, where's Jesus? Like, what's going on right now? Like, I thought Jesus was going to save me or whatever. And while I was saying that, I immediately thought, like, he is going to save me. I'm going to get saved. And in a split second, as soon as I had that thought of, like, you know what, God's going to come, he's going to rescue us, this door opens, and this the best way I could describe it, it wasn't a man, it wasn't nothing, it was like a gold bronze shockwave that just rocked through this trolley. And it was like immediately, like as soon as it hit, you just knew exactly what it was. And it would exactly what, like, it was like, that's Jesus right there. Like, this force that just came in, it was immediate. Like, that's Jesus, we're saved. It was just like bliss, glory. Like, it was amazing. Like, immediately, it was like, I remember saying to myself, I knew he wasn't going to let me down. I knew he was going to be here. I knew he was going to save me. It was just like, oh, I can't describe the joy, and I can't describe how amazing it felt. And this trolley went from being completely full to just a few people in it, and we were all just so grateful for God, for Jesus, that we got saved from this horrible thing that we were going into. It was just nonstop gratitude. We were just praising, and it felt amazing. And I remember, like, when the doors opened, it was like the most beautiful thing. I didn't even know what I was looking at, but I knew it was just like, it was so beautiful. We just could do nothing but almost stare and just praise. And there was a guy sitting next to me, and I remember we were just talking about how good God is and how amazing this is, and we were just talking within ourselves like, man, we did it. We did it. And then we kind of started getting up, and I remember seeing, like, what I saw on, like, the other side of this door. It was like clouds, but there was like water. It was like a river. And it was just so beautiful. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, it was just like, this is where you want to be at all times. And I had walked up to that same guy that I was talking to. There was this guy with like a guitar on his back. And I had said something about God. I don't know exactly what I said, but I said something that they had agreed to. It was like a quote or whatever. And the guy with the guitar on his back said, man, that was really nice. I'm going to use that in one of my songs. And he starts walking off into this amazing vision. That's all I could describe it as. And he's walking off, and I see like the guitar on his back, and I just remember feeling so happy, so grateful, just loving everything, from the people to the environment. Like, there was just nothing wrong, nothing bad. It was just so amazing. And then I woke up. And when I woke up, I was a little disappointed to find out that it was a dream. But I woke up, and I immediately knew, like, I guess you could say what my next steps was. And I knew that, you know, this is real. This isn't a fairy tale. This is what I need to focus on for the rest of my life. Everything else is second. I have to make sure I can end up in this place, because there was no other place on earth that could even closely compare to this. I remember waking up like quick, and I grabbed my phone. I started writing down the dream. I started writing down everything I seen and all this stuff, and I just started praying, and just being grateful towards Jesus, specifically Jesus himself. Now, I don't know what it is, but the word Jesus, people cringe at that a lot. I mean, you'll say, it's harder to say the word Jesus 1,000 times than it is to say the word devil 1,000 times. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? Is it the stigma behind it? Or You know what I mean? Like, what makes that word so hard? What makes that Jesus so hard to believe? Now, I know that there's different religions, peaceful religions like Islam and all that stuff. Now, if you ask me, I really think that we all pray to the same merciful God. I call him Jesus. Somebody else might call him Buddha. Somebody else might call him Allah. I all think it's just a one being of mercy, of forgiveness, of love, with many different names that we all just pray to. But however we find it is how we have to follow it. And man, I have to catch myself every single day, and I have to remind myself of this. And you know, I try, man. I really try now, as far as staying within my faith and trying to stay as close to God as I can be. You know, we all go through, we all make mistakes, and we do it on purpose. Sinning on purpose, I do it all the time. But and I hate that it takes dreams like that, and it takes, you know, situations like that where you have to kind of bring yourself back and realize what's going on. But look, man, I'm telling you, this stuff is real. There's real forces out here. I mean, I think we can all agree that there is evil in this world. There's genocide. There's horrible things that human beings do to each other. You know what I mean? Like, just horrible, horrible things that people have gone through, that people have put each other through. And there's also good. There's good things that people do for each other. And there's, matter of fact, great things. I mean, people can be so wonderful towards each other. So to me, it's very clear that there's a good force and a bad force, and it controls human beings. You know, as much as we want to think that we control ourselves, that we're individuals and all that stuff, it's just not true. We either do good or we do bad in this life. And I don't think that it's based off of our own accord. I think that something pulls us in the direction, but we have to take that first action. And whatever action we take, whether it's good or bad, that's where we start to get pulled into. I'm so grateful I had both dreams. Now, I've had other dreams where I feel like I've met the devil. Now, that was the only dream that I've had where I feel like I've literally met Jesus. I went to heaven. Most of my dreams is chaotic, they bad. But that one dream is all I needed. It was all I needed to really solidify myself. That first one put the fear of God into me that, man, this could happen. You know what I mean? I could really get sent to a horrible place like this and get tortured. And let me just remind y'all that even in the Bible, it says hell is something that we can't even think about. Like, our brains don't even have the capacity to think about something that bad. So what I went through is not even close to what it actually is like. But the same thing goes for heaven. You know, the same law applies. And it says that heaven is like a place that it's a good place that we can't even imagine. And the feeling that I got from that, and to think that it's even going to be even greater, it's going to be even greater than what I think. So all the motivation I need to stay good, to stay righteous, and to try to stay on the path as best as I can. You know, and that's the message I want to put out today. And I hope God really talks to y'all through this experience. And maybe y'all have had similar experiences. If you do, let me know in the comments. Let me know. I would love to hear this video. I just want to let y'all know I'm working on getting a better camera. I'm working on getting a better microphone so y'all can hear me better. These videos is going to get better. And like always, I appreciate the views. I appreciate the subscribers. I appreciate you listening. And look, man, we're going to get there. One step at a time, we're going to get there. I love y'all. Have a good one.